Oh. Okay. Why was it broken? Who will know? I should point out, normally I have chat on screen, but since Twitch is enforcing its rules differently now, or I guess they're starting to enforce the rules, I've decided to just temporarily not have that on screen. So my monitor is next to me is off. Um, I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna do today. I mostly just streamed because I didn't want to keep putting it off. Which I don't know if it's the greatest reason, but yeah, a lot of stuff happened. I don't even remember the last time I streamed. A couple months ago, a month ago. I might be able to find it. Hold on, let me see. It'll be faster to do this one. I'm not that. I'm losing my mind here. Switch. Oh, my channel's live. That's crazy. Okay. Channel videos. My last VOD that I uploaded was end of April. Are you serious? Is that the last VOD I have? There we go. Nope. I'm losing my mind here. What the heck? I literally have no idea what's going on now. You can't see me, but I'm completely lost here. What the? I could have sworn I had that here, but I don't see it now. I actually am going crazy, I think. What? Okay, yeah, no, it is here. I am just crazy. Yeah, I guess that was the last one because I don't have any more. That's crazy. So it's been like 3 months. Oh, I don't even want to think about that now. I guess I could leave a little bit, or I could give a little bit of an explanation. So, last I streamed, just had a birthday. I mean, if it was April 30th, my birthday was 4 days before that. That was probably, what day of the week was that? A Wednesday? Yeah, so I didn't do a Monday stream. I did a Wednesday stream. It was Fortnite, okay? And then I didn't do a Friday stream, and then I just didn't stream an entire 2 months. Okay. So what happened? So I was going to school. I got on a little break from school just because I'd finished the course that I was in, and it was spring break. Yeah. And I kind of got like sick, so I ended up extending my time off from school, and that just like went out like a whole month. And then the school recommended I just like pause my enrollment, so I ended up pausing my enrollment. I was going to the doctor like every day. It was a couple of issues, obviously nothing life-threatening, though they were afraid of that for a little bit. I'm doing better a lot. Like I said, it wasn't life-threatening to begin with, so it's not like the biggest deal ever, but yeah, it was not, definitely not comfortable. But yeah. So that's kind of why I haven't been streaming. I haven't been doing a lot of stuff I would normally be doing, but yeah. Like my gaming, I fell behind on a lot of the stuff that I would normally do there. Obviously, I haven't been going to school. I have been working on my other business, but yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to the last 2 months. And that's kind of why I wanted to start streaming again, and I figured start of a new month would be better than any other time. But yeah, I mean that, and like, come on, I just stream for fun. There's not usually people who show up. And that kind of brings me to what I'm going to do for stream today, because I do not have a good idea, which is why I'm in just chatting. I could get into my normal games. I kind of figured, since I'm between things right now, just in life, that maybe I could stream a little longer than normal. Sorry, I'm looking at some random notifications. One of the streams I did, I don't remember when I did it actually. It wasn't too long ago though, I don't think. Pull this up again. Maybe I have it here. Or not. Nope, doesn't look like it. Well, I did a stream where I did some discussions on firearms, and like it was a beginner video. And my original plan, what the freak? My original plan was to edit that into a video and be like kind of my first video. And I tried working on that while I wasn't streaming. The big problem with that though was that when I started cutting up the stream, I came to the realization that who owns this game? Oh, okay. Sorry, I was on my Steam library. I just noticed a game I'd never seen before, but it's because someone in the Steam family bought it. So my original plan was to edit the stream into a video, upload it, maybe do a couple clips, and I had it all cut out. But then I realized, because I was recording my stream using my VR headset, and my VR headset kept randomly disconnecting, that wouldn't really work, because the problem is I was using my VR mic, which was disconnecting when my headset was disconnecting. So I ended up not having anything, which was great. I say that, I mean, I did most of it recorded. But there was like big cutouts randomly, because I kept talking, assuming that for some reason I could still be heard, and then it was just like the video section of my headset that was disconnecting, but that was not true. And I mean, it's dumb because first of all, the headset's expensive, and I haven't used it a ton. But yeah, it just like wasn't working. At first, I thought it was an issue with the headset, and so I tried contacting Steam support because I was having I was having problems with my tracking, like my hand tracking, and it was because one of my lighthouses died, and so I was in contact with Steam support, and they replaced my lighthouse for free, which was cool, especially because I was out of warranty because it's been a couple years. But yeah, so they replaced my lighthouse, and I started using it. I was doing that stream, and my headset would just randomly disconnect. Like I could hear it. It would just, and then like it would sound like a USB disconnect noise, and then it would like reconnect, and so it would make a couple USB noises, and then it would like my graphics would freeze, and then my display would stop working for a little bit. And so I was like, what could possibly be causing that? So I contacted Steam support. They told me to turn in a ticket of my like to run like a certain test or whatever, and it would report errors that had previously occurred. And I sent that in, and they're like, oh yeah, your headset's broken, and you can send it in to us, but out of warranty it's going to be $600 to fix, and then you know, whatever. And I was like, oh cool, that's awesome. And they're like, oh, you can fix it yourself if you're capable, or buy a new headset, which is what we recommend. And I was like, yeah, cool, let me spend a bunch of money to buy a new headset when this headset isn't even that old. Makes perfect sense. I mean, obviously it's kind of old because it's out of warranty, but like it's not that old, like really. And that's, yeah, that's where I was at the end of that stream. Since then, I'd learned that the USB hub, built-in USB hub on my motherboard was actually broken, which is fantastic. So yeah, so that was broken, and that was actually, I'm pretty sure that's what was causing the errors. I haven't reused my headset to actually make sure that that's true, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Because I noticed afterwards too that if my computer started getting hot, like if I was playing games for a long time, I would get the same thing with my keyboard. My keyboard would disconnect. And I was like, why would my keyboard disconnect? So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's from one of my previous desk setups. I had the back of my computer facing straight at the wall, and I'm pretty sure what was happening is that the heat was bouncing off the wall and straight back into the USB hub, and I like fried my USB hub. I'm talking about the one like built into my motherboard, by the way. So this is like a motherboard issue. And so yeah, so that was like a huge problem. I decided, because I had a little bit of money, that I would just upgrade my computer, the main parts. Obviously not my whole PC. I upgraded my motherboard, processor, and RAM, which is a significant amount of my PC, but not the whole thing. And I've not had a USB disconnect issue since, so hoping that that's really the issue. I gotta try out my VR headset at some point. But yeah, that was a that was what was happening. So I was thinking, maybe it would be worthwhile to make a video not cut from a stream on the same subject matter. Though I don't know where I'm gonna get all the graphics and stuff for it, I guess. Because the original idea of cutting down a stream was that like I'd have all the video right there. But obviously if I'm doing it without that, then I just have a video to edit completely without anything. Which I can do. Oh, I also just learned that so my C drive on Windows, because I use Windows, was like getting full, and I was like, what the, I don't have anything on my C drive. I have everything like off on other drives. But it was complaining that like it's not a huge drive. It's a 200 something gig SSD. And it was just like, it's like complaining that it's full, and I'm like, what the what is taking up all this space? I install everything on other drives, so like I have no idea what's taking up all this space. I was using a tool yesterday. I looked at my hard drive space, and I kid you not, my video editing app that I've been using for a while, it was like this open source one, which I'm not going to name, mostly because the project is like temporarily on hold right now anyways, so it doesn't matter. For some reason, even though it wasn't installed on my C drive, I had it on one of my big hard drives that's like made for storing big apps and project files. For some reason, it created a user file on my C drive and was like dumping info in there, and somehow it had ballooned up to 50 gigs. Like what? What is it what could it possibly have put in that drive to balloon it up to 50 gigabytes? I literally have no idea. It was I have no idea how it has like a user profile drive like usage that is that large. So I decided to just nuke it. So all my project files are just like not usable anymore. That's fine. I didn't have any videos that were like, I mean, like I said, I had the video for the firearm stuff that I was planning on cutting together. That's not gonna happen that way, at least. Which is why I was cool with that. I had another project file from a super old video. I probably was never gonna finish it, so that's also fine. And if I ever want to use it again, I can just reinstall the app at some point to see it, but I don't think it's worth it after finding out it was stealing all that space. So I guess I also wanted to bring up, I kind of talked about this on Twitter, Twitter. Is it even worth streaming everywhere that I am right now? Because the rules of some of these platforms make it difficult to feel like I can actually do everything that I want. Which is not, I feel like, a good way to do this. And I could just switch to streaming on a single platform. That always feels like it's a kind of bad idea. And since this is just a reintroduction stream, I might just, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how long this will go for. Just because I'm just trying to, like, you know, get back into it. I'm hoping, because like I said, I'm between stuff right now. I've applied to a couple jobs. I decided that maybe school wasn't worth finishing if I already have the skills, and the jobs that hire based on those skills don't really look for school degrees. Kind of seems nonsensical to continue with the schooling. So I've applied to a couple, or I've applied to a place. We'll see if they respond. If not, I'm going to spend a lot of time trying to push this, just streaming, just to, you know, have some fun while I'm in between stuff. I mean, yeah. We'll see. I have some other stuff, some other projects in the works. My gunsmithing business. I've been getting more interest related to it, but I'm still having problems, like, properly, I guess, marketing. I'm not a marketer, man. It's not what I was made to do. I wasn't made to market. I was just made to do dumb work. That's all I've ever been able to do. That's all I'll ever be able to do. I mean, that's probably not true. I did have a something interesting happen. So I've been on, do I want to share this? Whatever. I've been on like a dating app because, I mean, what's the best way to explain this? When I was in high school, you know, when most people try dating, I decided that it wasn't worth the mental effort, so I just like did school, and that was like it. Which is like, I don't know. I feel like it's really not that weird. I feel like it's fairly common in the modern day for people to just be like, yeah, I'm not even gonna bother doing that. I'm just gonna try focusing on what matters in the moment. But see, the problem with that is that like I turned off the possibility in my brain that people would even like be interested in me. And you're like, oh well, what does that mean? It meant that I was probably like the densest person humanly possible. So I remember it was actually like a year ago, because so On the 4th of July last year, I went to go buy a lathe. And it was quite the drive. It was a couple hours away from where I live. So I had one of my siblings and now the fiance of another one of my siblings. Fiance? Husband. Now the husband of one of my siblings. And we went and we drove, I think it was like 2 hours to go pick this thing up. And we were just talking because what else are you going to do on a 2-hour drive? So we were talking, and I was talking about I guess everything is cyclical, because I was also talking about relationships, and this just got brought up because, like I said, I was on a dating app, and this will become relevant. But I can't remember exactly. So we got there, we looked at the lathe, I bought it because it was working. I still haven't gotten that lathe fully set up, by the way. I was working on that during this 2-month break too, but now I'm waiting on something else, and yeah, it's just a lot of waiting. If I had thought about it better, I wouldn't have had to do any of this, but I'm dumb and change stuff, so stuff changes. Yeah. So we got there, we looked at it, we started on our way back home, so another 2 hours, driving back. And me and one of my sister's husband now, he wasn't her husband back then, we're just talking, and we were talking about, I don't know why, we were talking about high school, and that just led, because him and my sister met in high school, and so it came up somehow. I really can't remember exactly why. Hold on. And I was talking about what I was doing in high school, and I was like, oh yeah, I focus, and I focus on just my schoolwork, which meant I was doing AP classes and CE classes and blah, 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 blah. I was doing a bunch of stuff that got me a bunch of certificates and blah, 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 blah. Stuff that doesn't matter once you're actually out of high school. And especially if you don't actually go to like a college, you know what I mean? Like I have a degree in gunsmithing, but like none of the classes I took in high school would have mattered for that. So I guess I could have transferred some stuff when I was in community college for a semester, but I decided community college was dumb and stupid, so I didn't continue with community college either. But yeah, so we were talking about it, and I was like, oh yeah, I had a lot of friends in high school. I don't talk to most of them. Some of them, like one of my friends I made in junior high, I still talk to him. We're still friends, but other than that, a lot of them I don't talk to as much. Every once in a while, the close-knit friend group, we still have a Discord, we'll chat on there every once in a while. But otherwise, I don't talk to many of the people from high school. And I think, because we were talking about how I'm like an extroverted person that like got bullied into being introverted. So like I really don't talk to people unless I like know them, but I also want to have someone to talk to, so I'll always go and like find someone to talk to. And that means that I would always like reach out and make friends if I didn't already have friends in a high school class, just so I could have someone to talk to for that class, right? I've been doing that for forever. Obviously back in elementary school, you were always with the kids you were with. So like I was friends with pretty much everyone in elementary school. And then junior high, I had my friends from elementary school, and I shared classes with pretty much at least one of them the entirety. And then my family moved, and I like lost all my friends, so I had to start from the beginning. And at first I was cool just like not talking to anyone, but eventually I started, I couldn't handle it for too long, so I started making friends again. And then in high school it was the same way. Like you have such a small friend group at that point that like the likelihood that you end up in a class like with them is fairly low. At least where I go to school. I'm sure some places it's a lot more likely, but we had huge graduating classes here. So yeah, so I would always make friends. And in my sophomore year in gym class, I'm pretty sure it was sophomore year, there was this girl, and we were both like at the end of the track meet. Turns out, I didn't know this at the time, I have horrible asthma. And so it turns out when you're doing the mile run that you're not supposed to have tunnel vision, pounding ear, like hear your own heartbeat, lose all other hearing, and difficulty breathing. Turns out that's not normal when you run. I didn't know, no one told me. So I was like working my way through this mile run, dying, and there's this girl who's slightly in front of me, and so I kind of catch up to her, and I'm like, yo, what's up? I just wanted someone to talk to because I was like dying. And so we started talking. We ended up becoming fairly close friends. And the reason I bring this up is because throughout the rest of high school, we would continue to talk, right? Even when we didn't have classes together. We had a couple like random throughout high school, but like generally we didn't have classes together. But she would come up and talk to me fairly frequently. I just thought, oh yeah, we're like good friends or whatever. But high school is always like, oh yeah, there's dances and blah, 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 blah. And when I was in high school, I was like, I don't care, man. I got better stuff to be doing with my afternoons than go to dances and like all this other stuff. Plus, like I said, I had convinced myself that no one was going to care about me in high school. Like that, like I'd have my friends, but then like that was it. Like there's no romantics happening for me in high school. But this girl, and I was too dense to realize this at the time, so I must apologize. Not that she'll ever hear this, but yeah, I'm just stupid. So there's a boys' choice dance, a girls' choice dance, prom, which I think was technically boys' choice, but like anyone could ask anyone for that one technically. And then there was another one, because there was 4 dances. I don't know, I don't remember exactly. Like I said, I never actually went to one. And like I said, I'm also stupid. So for the boys' choice one, I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna ask anyone. I'm just gonna stay home and chill, not waste my weekend. And I remember because this girl that I was friends with, she asked me specifically, she's like, oh, it's the boys' choice dance. Have you asked anyone? And I was like, no, I'm not planning on going, I don't think anyone would say yes if I asked, and I just don't really care about dances, so I'm not planning on going. And she's like, oh, that's too bad. I would have really liked to see you there. And I was like, oh, well, I don't like doing those dances and stuff. And then when it came to girls' choice dance, she asked me. But like, okay, that sounds bad when I say that, and then I say I've never been to a dance. But like, again, I'm like actually stupid apparently. So what happened when they announced that you're supposed to like start asking for the dance or whatever, she came up and asked, because she knew I didn't like going to dances. So she came up and asked, and she's like, oh, has anyone asked you to the girls' choice dance? And I was like, no, I don't think anyone will ask me to the girls' choice dance. Plus, I don't like going to dances. And she's like, oh, well, it'd be really cool if you came to at least one of the dances, and like it's the girls' choice dance. And I was like, well, no one's asked me. So I shut her down. Even though she like brought it up like 3 or 4 times, I was too dense to realize what was going on. And that was not the first nor the last time well, actually that probably was, I don't know. I can't confidently say that was the first time I'd accidentally turned someone down, because I don't know, maybe I'm so dumb I just don't remember another one. Because that brought up also in high school. So I was in a religious class too, and so in that class, like, you spend a lot of time just talking with your fellow classmates, reading scripture, whatever. And I'd always go because it's a nice reprieve from school to just have a class period where you can just, it's much more relaxed. But you still get to learn something. So I was in there, and there was this girl in that class too. She was sitting next to me because the seats are randomly assigned, or the teacher assigns them, whatever. I don't know how their system works. I assume they can pick however they want. But she was sitting next to me, and she would always be like, oh, wow, because it's like a religious class. They run it kind of like a school, right? So they run it like a church. So like you would come in, there'd be a prayer, you'd sing songs, then you get into scripture study, and you talk about whatever the lesson is, right? So we would sing, and then whatever. And this girl, she would always be like, oh yeah, you got such a good singing voice. And like, that's something I've been told previously. I don't know if I necessarily agree, but I do try to sing well. I've been in choir for a long time, so hopefully I got a decent singing voice, but I don't think I sing solo very well. But yeah, so she was like, oh yeah, you got a good singing voice. So she would like, again, this is all in retrospect, she would make excuses to talk to me fairly frequently, which I was more willing to talk randomly in that class, just because that was kind of the point of the class. Like, obviously we were studying religious stuff, but we were constantly being asked to share with the person next to us and blah blah blah, normal. They're trying to like get you good at communicating with people stuff. So there was a lot of that, and I found out she was, what was it, a theater kid, I guess is the best way to put it. She was like constantly in plays and stuff, and at one point she tried talking me to join one of the plays, and I was like, oh no, that's not like, that's not my forte. I'm not a person who does music. Like, I'm not, you couldn't, you'd never catch me doing a musical. I found out she was the female lead in the school musical we were doing, as she was trying to get me to apply, because she told me, she's like, oh yeah, you would be great for this character or whatever. And so I went and watched the play, because she invited me afterwards to go watch the play, and I was like, sure. So I went and saw the play, and the person she was trying to get me to play was the male lead, and I was like, why would I, what? And again, in my brain, this didn't mean anything at the time. I was like, oh, she must have just thought, my singing voice would be whatever. Which maybe she did, maybe I looked too much into it in the past that. But the conversation when I was telling this to my now brother-in-law, my other sister was in the back, not the one who ended up getting married to him. I have two sisters. She's like, man, you're stupid. She wouldn't say it like that, but it's pretty much the emphasis. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, clearly they were into you. And I was like, what? Huh? What? What do you mean clearly? Clearly? I would disagree. If it was so clear, I would have noticed. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just like, and the reason I was thinking about it again is because, like I said, I recently, it's a couple months ago, I got on a dating app. And, dating apps, they don't, whatever, they're not like the greatest invention mankind ever made, but you try. I realized that focusing solely on school is like kind of stupid. Because obviously I could have made the same excuse, right? Been like, well, I'm focused on school, so like there's no reason to be looking at stuff like that right now. But yeah, it's stupid. It doesn't work, because then you just end up being, whatever. So I was like, okay, you know what, I'll try I'll try a dating app just to see, right? Because like, I mean, where do you meet people nowadays? You know, and that's kind of the big problem. It's like all of my hobbies are stuff that I like do at home because they require like a lot of tools and stuff that I have at home. So like I can't just like let me go to the park and do my hobby of, you know, whatever. It's like I ain't got the time for that, man. I don't know. That's not how that works. I don't do like sports or whatever. I don't, you know, I read sometimes. I gunsmith, which is more of a job than a hobby, but it's also kind of more of a hobby right now. I stream as a hobby. You're not gonna meet someone streaming. I mean, like, come on, what? Are you stupid or something? You ain't gonna meet someone streaming. I game because I'm a gamer. Nah, but I mean, the only other place I could meet someone is like when I go to church on Sundays, right? But like, how many people are at, you know, whatever. Anyways, so I was just like, I'm gonna join a dating app, whatever. And I haven't had a ton of luck. I've matched a couple people, nothing really came of it. And it's just like, you know, the matches are like kind of random, right? It's just whoever likes each other's profiles as a match or whatever. But I randomly out of the blue had this girl like message me on one of the apps or on the app, and I was like, what? And so like we started talking, and she's, you know, she's whatever, she's chill. I realize I'm kind of stupid still because like I don't know how do you have a conversation with someone when it comes to like this stuff? I don't know, man. I'm just like, you know, first we see if we vibe at all, and then if we don't vibe, we don't vibe. But we both seem like we're pretty similar people, so I was like, okay, yeah, you know, this might work out. But I sent her a message because we ended up in a conversation about like what games we were playing. So I sent a message being like, oh yeah, you know, something, whatever. I can't exactly, it doesn't really matter. But the conversation just like froze at that point, and the app like archived the conversation. And I was like, oh, did she like, you know, did we like break the match or whatever? Because like I've had that happen before where I was talking to a girl and then she would just like, she didn't respond, and then the match just like, she canceled the match or whatever. And I was like, okay, you know, whatever. I mean, you can't let stuff like that get you down, right? Because the whole point of dating apps is to like filter people, so like it makes sense. Anyway, so we were talking, and the conversation was going really well, and then like the conversation just got archived, and I was like, huh, you know, like what was up with that? And so like I noticed that she didn't unmatch me, and so I sent a message just being like, yo, I don't know if something happened or like what, but like this conversation got archived, so I'm just sending another message to check if you like still want to talk or not. And so I recommended maybe we should move off the app if we want to talk. So yeah, that's what I was like, I just sent her a message being like, yo, you know, if you want to keep talking, it looks like this app doesn't really want us to keep talking on the app, so like maybe we should add each other on something else, you know, just to whatever, if we want to keep having a conversation. And like our messages were already like kind of sporadic because neither of our notifications are working on this app, which is like, thank goodness they make apps for dating where they expect you to message each other on them, and the messaging stops working and the notifications don't work, so you don't know if someone messaged you or not. So we both were having problems like communicating on this app anyways. But then like, so I sent that message. So our conversation was going from like Tuesday to like Friday is when I sent the message that randomly it got archived after. And so then I sent another message just being like, yo, it was like Saturday morning. I noticed that the app had like archived our messages and that the conversation was no longer active. And I was like, what the heck? So I sent another message and I was just like, yo, I don't know if it's something one of us did, but this chat just got archived. You know, if you want to keep talking, maybe we should add on something else. And then like, I just like didn't get a response, but I was like, yeah, you know, whatever. Either she did something and it archived it because, you know, whatever. Or, you know, she actually did end the conversation and the app's just bugging because it's buggy. And I just kind of went on with my life, you know, doing other stuff. working on all the stuff I had. Actually, I think it might have been Thursday, and then Friday morning I sent the message, because I think it was a couple of days. But then like randomly she just responded, and it was like, oh yeah, for some reason the app has been doing that to me specifically, and so like, this is a quote, right? So I guess she has been in multiple conversations where it just archives it randomly. Well, what is this app doing, man? Like, what the? Oh yeah, get to know someone, message them. But if you can't figure something out in 2 days, then we're gonna archive the chat and then it's gonna hide it from both of you. Cool, dude. Neither of us said we were gonna stop the conversation, but thanks for that. Anyways, yeah, so she randomly messaged me back being like, oh yeah, no, here's a different platform we can message on. And I was like, cool, that works for me. So yeah, but yeah, I was just like, I just can't, what is up with dating apps, dude? Because like, first of, I mean, yeah, whatever, it's ridiculous. Because like, one of the things is though too is that, so I'm not gonna name the app because whatever, but it has like this feature where you can, so on your profile you're allowed to put, I think it's 6 images and then 3, like you have to answer like 3 questions, and then on your profile you can set like interests, I'm gonna call it standards, like stuff that you are looking for in a relationship. I can't remember, there's something else, but you can like set all this stuff. And first of all, women on the app suck at filling out their profiles. Like they don't, a lot of them only have like 2-3 pictures, and like most of them won't actually fill out the interest section, and a lot of them won't put like what they're actually looking for in a relationship, and you're like, what are we doing here, man? If we're supposed to be matching based on like shared stuff, why are you not filling out your profile? Anyways, on the interests, you can send a special message if you're like agree with it, or like you want to start a conversation based on it. And I don't know how the app looks from the female perspective, because obviously I'm a dude using the app, so I wasn't sure it worked the same way. I think it does though. So you get like 3 free messages that you're allowed to send over stuff like that, and then I think after that, like, it slowly builds back up, but I think you only get 1 after that. So you start with 3, and then afterwards you'll get 1 every once in a while that you can use to message. And this is like people that you haven't matched with, right? So like if there's someone who really catches your eye, you can try shooting them a message and see if something comes of it. So that's what this girl did to me, which first of all, I was surprised. I did not expect that. I don't consider myself a particularly charming looking man, we'll say. But yeah, so I was surprised that happened at all. But I found out that, like, so obviously because it's a dating app, they have like a premium version of the app, right? Where you get all of the features, plus you spend extra money or whatever. They give you extra stuff. Yeah, I was completely in shock that had happened. And then when I went to go see it, because first of all, it didn't notify me. I just happened to log into the app, which it had been a couple days since I logged in last, so lucky that I did log in, because it had just happened not too long before. So I was like, oh, okay, good. I didn't leave this person on like red for like 4 days or whatever. So I saw it and was like, oh, cool. Someone like actually messaged me on the app. That's, you know, the first time that's happened. I've never had that happen. So I like click on it, and then it like shows the notes, and it's like, oh yeah, someone has liked your profile and left you a note. And it turns out if you leave a note, it auto likes the other person's profile, which it makes sense, because obviously you're interested if you sent them a note. That's how it's supposed to work. And so I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. The thing is though, is that if someone likes your profile, it will tell you, but unless you pay money, you can't see their profile. Which is like, okay, wow, cool. That's honestly, that's awesome that you would do that. So I couldn't see their profile. And even though they left a note, it would still censor the profile. And I was like, how am I supposed to respond? What's the point of leaving a note if I can't respond to their note to me? But I found out that if you click on it, that, okay, and this is how it's worded, and I don't know if this is true or not. If someone else left a note on my profile, I might be able to message them back. But the way it's implied is that I used my free lookup to like match them back so that we can message. And I was like, what the? Like, it implied that I only had one. And I was like, how do I only have one? Like, are you kidding me? Like, what is this mess, dude? I just, you know, honestly, I just... I don't understand dating apps, I guess. I do think about, you know, if I was less brain dead, if my life could have been different. You know, if I had like realized in high school that maybe I wasn't completely well, it's just like, I don't know, like, you know, what do you freaking... I didn't realize, man. I'm stupid. I'm sorry. Even in the modern day, I sometimes think about whether or not I'm actually like brain dead or something. Because like, I don't know. The only time I talk to women, females is funny to say in this context, is like, I have my sisters, my mom, and then like I'm at church, I'll talk to girls, women, but like those are under different contexts, right? Like, and when I was younger, I only ever thought of like as friends, so like I would only ever talk to them how I talk to my friends, and so it's like, how do you know, what do you do past that point? I don't freaking know, dude. I realize it's the same thing with this person I've been talking to recently. Is like, I've been talking to them as if it's like I'm trying to make a friend. It's like, I assume that's all right. I don't freaking know. Are they gonna get disinterested because I'm talking as if I'm trying to make a friend right now? How do you date? How does this actually work? Do you just, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't do it. I skipped the tutorial in high school, and now I have zero idea. Yeah, I actually... I don't know, man. I just kind of figured, yeah, I don't know. I just kind of figured that everyone was just friendly with me and that it wasn't anything like serious, but maybe I'm really just that dense that I just don't realize that stuff is happening. Because like I said, I may have described this stuff poorly here, but like after describing it to both my now brother-in-law and my sister, they were both like, oh yeah, those girls were like into you. And I was like, oh man. Oh man. Oh man. You're kidding me. How can I be so dense as to not even realize it? Yeah, I don't know. I'm just actually that brain dead, I guess. Which, I mean, to be fair, is probably true. I didn't realize that I had asthma until I was already legally an adult, which is fantastic. I mean, I'm just saying, like, no one tells you that you're actually supposed to be able to breathe while you're running, you know? And you're like, oh, you should be able to make that assumption. It's like, oh, I don't freaking know, dude. Everyone's always like, oh yeah, the burn or whatever. So you maybe it's supposed to burn my lungs when I run. I don't freaking know. Anyways, yeah, it's whatever. But I don't even know. I live my life one step at a time, and apparently also blindfolded. So we do what we can. Hold on. Ugh. This is why I play Fortnite. It's easier. I just get hyper paranoid in that game instead, you know? Anyways, though, yeah, it's definitely one of those things where it's just like, how does one figure out? I don't have the answers for that. You know what else? So part of so I was saying I was going to the doctor, right, for like a condition I didn't know what it was, and so I was having like a million tests run on me. Something that I did know, I've had an injured wrist and ankle for also almost a year. Same 4th of July last year, I was taking apart the desk that came with the lathe because it like was rotting, and I was like, I'm not going to end up using this, which is part of the problem. I still haven't found a good replacement. I mean, I recently did, but I have to wait for it. So yeah, anyways. So I was working on disassembling this thing, and this thing was thick, like multi-inch. Like the top was 2 inches, the sides were 1.5 inches, like thick particle board that was all glued and nailed together in like the most confusing way possible. And so like I was working on taking this apart so I could get rid of it, right? Because I don't need it and it's going to take up space. So I was sitting there and I was like hammering it and like sawing it apart, and at one point I was like, oh, I think if I give this a really good kick, because it was can I demonstrate this? Hold on. We're gonna do this in the most artistic way. Open up Paint, and we'll share the screen. Ooh, I won't just be sitting on this dumb screen this whole time. Okay. Screen, window capture, Paint. Is it gonna work? I don't think it's working. Hold on here. What? Not Alt. Control? Hold on, everything's blacked out. Nothing is showing up anyways. That's wait. Whoa. This is buggy as heck. Anyways, this should be in the back. I should be able to zoom this out. I have this weird background template. What? Isn't this a fort? I don't know. Oh, because it's cutting out my taskbar. That's why. This is just not working anyways. There we go. Fixed it. Okay, anyways. I don't have a... This is an old version of... I haven't used this screen in a while. Maybe if I... What if I... I now understand why it wasn't working. And it's because the capture type, for some reason, I don't know. It's using like a Windows 7 capture method. And it just doesn't work. Okay, so this is gonna be fantastic. Ready? Bam. Box. And then it was like this. And there's a back, right? So it's like a back, and then it's got a shelf in the middle, and then this was a bottom shelf, and then these are drawers. Again, proving my artistic talents here. I mean, I'm drawing with a mouse, so you got to forgive me for this. Okay. So when I took it apart, I had it to the point where, let's see, where's the eraser? Paint's different now. I had the drawers out, obviously, because why would I leave those in? And I had one of the walls off, but the back wall, which I'll re-sketch here, the back wall, oh, that's the wrong brush. What brush was I using before? What the freak? Oh, I was using the actual brush. I see. It's a different tool. So it was like that. So, but the drawer was still hanging out. It was like loose. So was the bottom. And the bottom was loose enough that I was able to just remove that. So, can I adjust my tool sizes here? I feel like I'm crazy. Anyways, so I managed to get rid of that. And so I just had this middle one, but it was like mounted in with this little middle bracket and then the back wall. And I managed to like pry it slightly, and I was like, I bet if I give this a good kick. Okay, I should point out too that I had this, at this point I had the table like, ooh, can I rotate and paint? How do you rotate? Is this possible anymore? Could have sworn it used to be. Oh no. I don't use paint. Nope, that's mirrored. Nope. Nope. There we go. Rotate 90. Whatever. My point still stands. So I had it like this. That's fantastic, dude. This is so bad. Anyway, so I had it like this. This is so horrible looking. Anyways, I figured if I just gave it like a good, like a really sturdy kick, right? Yeah, that's beautiful. That it would like knock somewhat loose, because I'd gotten it like sort of away from these spots where it was being held in. I can use red for emphasis. These spots, I'd gotten it like kind of away, and I figured that the leverage I'd have if I kicked it up here would cause it to like pull out the rest of the way, right? Because I was fighting against nails and glue, but like it worked for the bottom one. Like I was able to get it out by like pressing against the other forces, and I didn't care if it broke because it was already rotting, right? So like, who cares? What I didn't realize is that the reason the bottom came out so well is because this area had already like rotted. And so like, yeah, of course, if I kick it, it's going to come loose because there's nothing holding it in place. So what I did when I kicked it up here, hold on. This is gonna need a more in-depth. Come on. Are you? I'm being trolled right now. Is it because this is in front? That works. Okay, whatever. My browser's deciding it's playing games now, so I have to use a separate browser. Leg bones. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So like your legs got like 2 bones, right? I just wanted this for like, so like you got bone 1. Oh, what the frick? Okay, so you got like bone 1, and then you got like the second smaller bone. And they're like held together with like a couple of tendons, right? This is so bad. So bad. Well, I discovered Oh yeah, and you got all the bones in your foot, right? Okay, yeah. You remember this? What I learned. I redraw this real fast up here. That's bone 1. That's bone 2. Kind of looks like the bones in your arm. You got like your ankle here, right? And you got your knee up here. That's your kneecap, but same difference. Um, and that the tendons holding this all together are like here. I think there's like a cross one here or whatever. Probably a cross one going the other way. If you apply force to the bottom of your foot really strong, and you have strong bones / hyper flexible tendons, instead of your bone taking that impact, your tendons will take the impact, and it will cause your tendons to stretch to the point that they actually like tear. It leaves a big hole like that. And that causes your ankle to suddenly get real loose and real painful. And so what I learned after kicking that desk, and then I didn't feel anything in the moment. As soon as I put my foot back on the ground, it like shot pain throughout my entire body. So much so that I yelled, and a relative heard it and was like, "What the? Are you dying?" And I was like, "No, my foot just hurt really bad for some reason." And then I like to point out that it didn't particularly help either. Like the desk moved a little bit, but it wasn't actually enough to like to save anything, to save me much time. But yeah, so I injured the tendons of my foot because it turned out, and this is something I kind of known, like you don't really think about it, that I have joint like hypermobility. So like I can bend, like the tendons and ligaments in my hands allow them to bend in ways that like a normal person's hand won't be able to. It's led to a lot of problems in my life, but like it's nothing that's been like concerning, so like I haven't really worried about it. But this turns out is a huge problem. So apparently this type of injury that I just described, where kicking something with a lot of force causes tendons to tear, is something that really only happens in like professional athletes. Meanwhile, I'm just like a stupid idiot who kicked a desk. And that like normally what they would do is they like put you in like a big boot, and then you just have to wait for it to heal, right? Because like they can't like stitch your tendon back together. It's like that's not how that works. So like basically, and here's the big problem, okay? I injured it, but I kind of figured I just like sprained my ankle. So like I kept using it and I kept walking on it, but like it hurt. And so like I would just like kind of rest more. Like I'd elevate my foot and just like let it rest, but like, I still had to walk around. So like I was still walking around and stuff. But like after like it was like a month, 2 maybe even 3, it like hadn't healed, and I was like, okay, maybe it's time I like go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, I described it, and then they did a bunch of x-rays and they did like a bunch of stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, you like messed up your tendons, so we're gonna get you like a boot, and you just gotta wear this boot for, I don't even remember, I think it was 3 months too. Like I had to wear it for 3 months. Must have only been a couple weeks before I got the boot, I think, because I don't think I think I started wearing it in the summer still, so it must have still been the summer, because if it was July anyways. So yeah, so I was wearing, so then I ended up in, and you've probably all seen boots before, but I got big feet, so basically what oh, am I an eraser still? What they ended up giving me was like a boot that went all the way up to my ankle. Oops. Why does right clicking? So it's kind of like, this is the base, and then there's like support bars in the side, right? It's kind of like that. And so then your foot goes here, and then you get like a strap in the front that hold your foot in place, and then straps on the side that hold your leg in place, and then this is like your knee, right? And like this is all cushioned and padded. Yeah, and I think there was actually 2 straps in the front. I don't remember where the second one was, but yeah. So like it holds your foot in place, and it's just supposed to keep your ankle straight. The problem is that I was told to just like wear it as much as I could, and that like I should really only take it off to like let my foot like dry out. And so like yeah, so I was wearing this big dumb boot, and I had to walk around with it. So I ended up getting a pair of shoes that had like a taller heel to match the thickness of the boot heel. Um, because how else was I supposed to walk around without like developing a weird like hip injury too, which is something that can happen if you're not careful. Walking unevenly can mess up your hips. Hasn't happened to me, but I know people who it has. So yeah. Anyways, so I had this big dumb thing on my foot, and my ankle stopped hurting, but it never like tightened back up all the way. So like before, my ankle like I could move my ankle without any problems, but now, even still to this day, if I move my ankle, it like clicks and pops because my tendon is actually bouncing over my ankle bone, which is fantastic. It totally means that it healed properly, I'm sure. So yeah, so at the same time, I'm pretty sure, eventually I flipped this desk over. So we're looking at it this way now because I still had the top on. After getting nowhere by kicking the desk, I decided maybe trying to get this other layer off would be my best bet. So I took a hammer and I started hammering down this side. And that actually did work. The problem is I'm pretty sure I also like put a bunch of shock forces into my wrist. Cause like, I mean, I was having problems before that point where like my hand was like swelling and stuff. I had like the beginnings of tendonitis. And then I just like exasperated it by putting a bunch of blunt force trauma into it. Anyway, yeah. So I injured both my ankle and my wrist. So I wore this boot for forever. Eventually, my ankle stopped hurting. I started going to school. You know, I started living my life again. But my ankle would still hurt randomly, and so I was like, you know what? It used to never do that. So like, I think there might be something wrong with my ankle still. And then like my wrist, my hand was getting worse, and like I started having popping and clicking if I moved my fingers, and my hand was swelling up like randomly all the time, and I was like, what the freak? So when I was when I got out of school again for these other issues that I was talking about, I went back to the doctor when they were checking all the other stuff, and I just brought it up. I was like, yeah, my ankle is still messed up, and my wrist is like worse. And so I guess I should point out, when I was going to school, I eventually went to the doctor for my wrist, and they gave me a brace for that too. So I've been wearing a brace on my wrist for like a while. And I've talked about it a couple times on stream where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm wearing my brace right now. And then like I'd take it off partway through because you can't, it's pretty hard to game on a normal mouse with your brace because like it keeps your wrist straight. So you have to move your whole elbow, and I'm bad. So I use my wrist. I flick my wrist to do stuff because I didn't pay attention in ergonomics, even though I did. I just didn't care. So I was having all these problems. I went back to the doctor and I was like, yeah, my ankle is still injured, even though I was wearing the boot. And you know, one of the big downsides of the boot, you wear it for so long that like your foot actually gets physically smaller because like the muscles are starting to like atrophy because you're not using them anymore. And you're just like, what the heck, man? Anyways, that's why I didn't want to put the boot back on, because I was like, it doesn't, you know, it's not helping as much as it should. But to like cope with the ankle hurting that I was having, I was wearing like Vans, like, you know, like high top shoes, and just tying all the way up, like so that it like braced my ankle. And when I explained to the doctor that that had helped, he was like, oh yeah, it sounds like your ankle hadn't fully healed, which is weird. And it sounds like your wrist isn't fully healed, which is weird. But like wearing the braces will help. And I was like, yeah, but like I can't drive around if I have a big dumb boot on my foot. And he's like, okay, we'll get you like, and it turns out they sell like these thin boots that are actually just like boots, like normal boots you'd buy at the store for like wearing around, except for that they're like socks. Does that make any sense? So it's like a piece of fabric, kind of like this. It's got a cutout for your heel. And then basically all it has is it's got laces in the front. My dog's barking. And then you can, it's got a thing that like stabilizes your ankle to your foot, kind of like that. It's more flat than that, but you know what I mean. It holds your ankle and foot together by wrapping it. And then when you wear it, you know, whatever, it gives you a lot of stability like a boot would, but you can wear normal shoes over it. A lot of athletes wear stuff like this, I guess. It's pretty normal for them. So yeah, so I ended up with one of those, and I still wear my wrist brace, especially for repetitive or heavy tasks. Like my wrist has gotten so weak that like even trying to lift something up with my hand and my wrist just like causes it to start screaming in pain. So like I have to, you know, I have to wear the brace for stupid stuff like that now. But yeah, so I had all this, and he's like, the biggest concern is actually that your body isn't healing stuff, which is like not how it's supposed to be. Your body should be able to heal, you know, injuries. Hold on. I don't know why the dog's freaking out. Oh wait. Oh no, it's more. Okay. Oh, I just realized I don't have music playing. Whoops. I had it like set up so I could start some music real fast, and I totally forgot to do that. I was gonna. Hold on. Let me turn on my music so I can. That might be too loud. How loud am I? How loud is this music in comparison to me? I'll turn that down. Okay. I just realized that the browser I was having problems with just popped up now. Anyways. Okay, so just random music. I don't know. It's some random playlist I played before and I didn't have problems with it, so I figured it'll work again. But yeah. So I've had these boots, braces, and basically what they found out is that like there must be something wrong because my body isn't healing injuries that I sustain. That and my wrist probably does have something else wrong with it. It's not just whatever. That I probably do have like tendonitis or whatever in my wrist, which is why I need the brace. And I was recommended that I get a different mouse. And I was trying to game a couple weeks ago. And I was playing with my normal gaming mouse, Epic Gaming, and using the buttons on my mouse made me realize that it does in fact hurt my wrist to use the buttons, which should not be how it is. This is not a good drawing of a mouse. Anyways, get rid of this. Yeah, so with the injury, I was just like, I kind of figured that it would be the end of it if I just whatever. It's not true. The injury is very clearly more serious. So I ended up buying a new mouse. Now I have a dumb ergonomic mouse that holds your, you know, it's vertical like this, so that your thumb goes here, that your fingers end up on the side like this. And you got your dumb hand. Wow, I'm so good at drawing with a mouse. Look at this. This is art. Masterpiece in the work. And one of the big reasons I didn't want to switch mice is because I'm so used to my button layout on my mouse that I had been using. Because my old mouse had, I think, 7 buttons. It had the normal clicks. obviously the scroll wheel, and then it had a button on the side, and then it had 2 more buttons here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that it? I think there might have been another one somewhere. No, that was it. But like, there's no ergonomic mouse that has this many buttons. At one point, I actually used to have one of those like RPG mice that had like a full numpad on the side. That was sick, but they're so heavy that it's probably not worth using them for like higher action games. But yeah, so I found the only mouse that had close to the number of buttons. It's got like 2 right by your thumb, so that's my thumb. Got 2 there. It's got the 2 normal mouse buttons. Obviously, it's got the scroll wheel. Scroll wheel doesn't have side to side though, so there's no forward back scroll wheel side to side, which this one does have, right? You can use your scroll wheel both ways. And it clicks. This one does not have that, so you only have the click in, which I guess I should mention, click in. So yeah, so this one only has click in, which sucks, but you know, you deal. And then it's got like another random button up here that's not very usable because it's not what your hand actually is. Which technically means it's the same number of buttons, other than the scroll wheel has less function. But this button is so out of the way that you're never actually going to be able to use it like in a gaming moment. You know, you can use it when you're not seriously hardcore using your mouse, but you're not gonna be able to use it like in the middle of something. Which is tragic, but you know, we deal. Anyways, so yeah. Turned out, what they explained to me is that most likely the reason my stuff isn't healing, my body isn't healing stuff, is probably because I have obstructive sleep apnea. Whoa. Almost looks like I wrote USA. Not the same thing. Which means that while I'm sleeping, my airways get cut off and then it wakes me up. And since my body is never properly sleeping, I'm not properly healing injuries because your body heals itself while it's sleeping. And after some study and research, they did in fact conclude that this is correct. I do have obstructive sleep apnea. And that what is causing it, I'm going to do one of these like really bad illustrations that they used to have in school. Here's my face. Don't ask why I have no forehead. Is at the top of my mouth, instead of going back like it's supposed to, hangs down like this. The eraser. It hangs down like this. And so when I'm sleeping and the muscles relax, this lowers even more. Relaxed goes lower. And then this also extends out because it's no longer contracting. And that cuts off my mouth airway. And you're like, okay, that shouldn't be a huge problem because everyone knows you got a nose airway too. Goes down. And look, it's not where the obstruction is. And that's true, except for that I have an issue with my nose that causes mucus to like form and hold that clogs my nose. And so like both of these independently would be fine. Like if you had one or the other, you wouldn't even know, because like if your nose gets clogged while you're sleeping, you just breathe through your mouth. And if your mouth is low, but you don't have clogging in your nose, then obviously nothing's going to stop your nose from breathing. But the fact that I have both together means that I can't breathe when I'm sleeping, and it's causing me problems. And the doctor did explain that theoretically I could get surgery and they just cut out the top of my mouth so that, you know, whatever, it doesn't hold. And that way my mouth would always be an open pathway. And that also I should probably go to the doctor for whatever's causing my nose to do this. And I have my theories. I guess I can explain that too. When I was a young little boy, I had front teeth, baby front teeth, and at some point, one of the two got infected, and the dentist wasn't sure which one, which is very inspiring in their abilities to know what's good and bad for you. And so they were like, "Well, we don't know which one. We know it's one of the front teeth, but we can't tell which one. So we're just gonna yank them both." And so for most of my childhood, I had no front teeth. When I say most of my childhood, I mean literally like the entirety of elementary school. I got these teeth ripped out like during first or second grade, and I didn't have teeth again until they just started growing back in like sixth grade. And by junior high school or seventh grade, I had a full set of teeth again. Man, I'm so oh, what the freak. So bad at drawing. It's kind of ridiculous when you think about how bad it is to. Anyways, I was gonna do a dumb thing like this, but it doesn't even look good. Anyways, yeah, I have all my teeth again. This is a mess of a sheet now. But yeah, so but I was doing some research, and obviously they ripped out these teeth before they were supposed to, and they weren't very careful with it. It's actually why I speak funny to this day too, because I was trained to speak without front teeth. Um, which realistically, since I was a young kid, they just taught me like tricks to sound close enough. Um, but when my teeth grew back, the tricks actually started leading to like weird speech patterns, and that's why even to this day I speak kind of funny. Um, I have like a lisp too because of it. Anyways, it's not important. It's just lore. I keep getting buzzed on my wrist. Um, but what I'm thinking happened, because like if you look at a human skull, right? You got your nose, your eyeballs. Oops, something kind of like, oops, man, dude. You feel so confident until you actually try doing a line, and then all of a sudden it all falls apart. Okay. The funny thing is, I have a graphics tablet, like on my computer right now, hooked up, but it's not this screen, so I can't use it. I might be able to actually. I just moved what. I could try. Hold on. Let's see. If I move this, okay, it just shrunk. If I extend this back out, okay, it's crunchier now. Let's see. The problem is I don't think my camera's gonna be able to see me very well. Let's see. Something fell off my desk because I just elbowed it. Okay, this isn't. I'm on eraser too. Okay, let's see. Skull. Isn't going to be a very good skull, but that's fine. It's been a while since I've drawn a skull. Ugh. This isn't tall enough. Doesn't matter. Anyway, so you know how your like teeth sit up here in your skull? And when you have baby teeth, they actually sit above your adult teeth. Well, when you yank out these teeth, so they're gone. Your baby teeth have vanished. They've been yoinked. Your adult teeth don't grow in instantly because they still grow on whatever, presumably they still grow on whatever system they were going to. Doesn't matter if you pull your teeth out early. Dude, stop buzzing my wrist. Man, that is a really bad skull. Wrong tool. That's better. Still not great, but it's better. Presumably these teeth still take their time to grow down and fill in the space. But because they weren't careful when they ripped it out, I think they actually left it caused like a thing to form here in my face, which is where the mucus is pooling, like under my nose. Because like obviously your nose, and I didn't draw this very well, but like on an actual skull, assuming this is your nose cavity, your teeth are like right here. These are the roots of your teeth, I should mention. They're not like your full teeth, obviously. Your teeth look a lot longer in your skull, because normally your gums would be like here. Anyways, if they ripped these out and they left a space here, that'd be perfect for mucus to stick in my nose, because there's like a divot here now in both of my nostrils where mucus holds, and it's like that's a pretty good bet. That's probably what happened. And that's why my nose clogged itself. And I don't know how you can describe I don't know what caused the throat thing other than I just was born that way. And like I said, for the most part, that wouldn't even really be a problem. Because your nose should be clear too. But yeah, how can I? Okay, clicking switches to the eraser, but you can't click back off the eraser on this. That's great. Anyways, yeah. So that's the magical combo that has led to me having part of my issues. Like I said, this part is just a theory. I have no confirmation of this one, other than it's just the only thing that makes sense. Because like there has to be some kind of trauma involved to cause that, as far as I know. But yeah. So that explains that. But yeah, so that is kind of why, and so now I have to wear this dumb machine to make it so that I can breathe while I'm sleeping. And it's just like a big flight mask. I don't know why I'm trying to draw this with. It literally is just like, it's a mask that looks like this. It's got a port and vents, a hose that just forces air into your face. So like in this case of this dumb face I drew up here with no forehead, the mask covers this part of your face, and then it's pressurized. I keep pressing the button. It's pressurized, so like it forces air in, and obviously the air takes up this space, and it like pushes through your airways. It pushes through your airways to try to make it so that you're continually breathing. What a beautiful drawing in the end. Anyways, though, yeah, so that's what I've been dealing with. Also, it turns out that those machines are apparently super uncomfortable, and it takes a long time for people to get used to them. So, also, you have to deal with like all the payments and blah 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 blah. It's all a mess. Everything's been a mess, but we deal. Ugh, sorry, I was yawning. Anyways, that's a short synopsis of a bunch of stuff that's been happening. Other than that, so far over this little break from streaming, I've put a little tiny desktop CNC next to my desk and used it a little bit. I've actually had it for a while, but I never got it working, and now it's working. Did some small cuts. Other than that, not a ton has happened. And like I said, this is really just like a intro stream back. I don't know how long I'm gonna go for. I've already gone for an hour and a half. Maybe try to go for two. So what I'm thinking, by the way, is that I'll kind of get back into my old stream schedule. But also, since I'm currently waiting for stuff to happen, yeah, so waiting for stuff to happen, I'm just gonna try streaming more frequently. And these streams are gonna be a lot less structured, and maybe I'm gonna go for longer streams. So what I've been thinking, it's been a hot minute since I've done any programming, so I figured maybe I'll try and do some Unity programming, try to make a game on stream. It's been even longer since I've done any programming in Unity. It's almost been a decade. So that might be interesting. See if I can remember anything. Probably not. Probably going to be doing a lot of watching stuff. Obviously, I have my normal games. I haven't even gotten close to beating Oblivion, and I haven't played that in forever now. I have my mouse on the wrong screen. When was the last time I launched Oblivion? In May? Well, then I must have streamed in May. Did I accidentally not archive a stream? Is it possible that I am this dumb? Let's see. I would like to say I'm not that stupid, but we were just talking about how I'm stupid, so something tells me that's very I do have one. My last VOD was, oops. Maybe I'll make that public right now. I do have one from 5/23 or from 5/2, which means my last stream was actually in May. Well, there you go. The Friday of May, yeah. Whoopsie. Okay, well, yeah. So maybe we'll continue that. I don't exactly remember where I am. I was doing something for sure. Also, I currently have like a New Vegas run that I'm trying to finish, but maybe I'll do that off stream. Just try to finish that on my personal time. I've been playing that for almost a year now too, trying to finish a run. And it's not like the thing is, I've just been trying to get as much achievements as possible in a single run. So like I have all my stuff. I've got most of the achievements now that you can get in like a single run. I got to finish the last DLC and then actually beat the game. Those are the last couple of achievements I've got going there. And then I might do a couple of other runs, just short runs to try to beat stuff. This one I actually took like pretty seriously. But if I do other runs, they're not going to be as serious. I'm just going to go for achievements. But yeah. like I said, I got some other projects in the work. I got a car. Oh, a car? Yeah, I bought a car. I helped a family member with a government contract. Got some money enough to buy a really cheap car. I've been working on it. We can hold on. Let me switch back to general chatting here. We don't. That's the wrong internet. Pause that now. Anyways, though, yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna stream again tomorrow. We might just do our normal Fortnite, but we might do some more stuff. And I might cut how many platforms I'm streaming, just because it feels weird not having a chat show up on screen. But having multiple chats show up on screen might technically violate rules, even if they're not combined. And not combining the chats just makes it so that like it's awkward to see on screen. So like if I can't combine them, it would feel better not to have them. But then if no one can see what anyone's saying, then what's the point of having them at all? I mean, I can respond, but like usually, I mean, I don't always read out the message because it shows up on screen at the same time. But if I can't do that, then yeah. So it'd be easier if I could just put them all together, but one platform doesn't like that, and it might be easier to just get rid of that platform that doesn't like it. Maybe I could add a different platform instead. But yeah. These are just the thoughts going through my head. I've thought of a couple of other random streams I could do. Like, I've recently seen a lot of discourse about Frankenstein again, which is cringe because you see people talk about, and I think it's like there's just something wrong with millennials because they'll talk about Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster, and they'll be like, oh yeah, Frankenstein's monster is like a victim in the story, and you're like, not really, okay? And it's like you can kind of argue at the beginning, but like, what a weak freaking reason to go on a psychotic rage. For anyone who doesn't know, because you haven't actually read Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the modern Icarus, or whatever it's called, the modern Prometheus? Modern Prometheus? Anyways, this dude gets so absorbed in his schoolwork that he stops attending class and decides that he's actually just gonna try to bring a dead body back to life. And so he goes and makes a body out of a bunch of cadavers. You probably know this part. He goes and makes a bunch of bodies out of cadavers, and then makes a body out of a bunch of cadavers, and then brings it to life using electricity. They don't exactly explain how because, you know, whatever. It's a sci-fi book. You don't need to get in-depth explanations on everything. And the first thing that happens when the monster comes to life is it looks at its master, who faints from the shock of seeing it, okay? But also, this dude hasn't slept in like a week, and he's been so hyper-focused that like he didn't even pay attention to the fact that he literally created an ugly creature. And so the monster, upon seeing its creator's reaction to it, freaks out and runs away. And then it goes into the woods. It has like this whole thing where it tries being nice to people, but people are terrified of its appearance. And so the only person he can actually like have a somewhat conversation with is like a blind man. And then once the blind man's family finds out, they freak out, and then the blind man freaks out, and then they all disappear from the woods that they were living in that he also stalked them in. And so then he decides that humans are like evil, because I think he saves like a little girl at some point, and then the people who see him are like, oh, evil monster, scary, whatever. And so he just decides that people must be evil, and that his creator is evil because he gave him a cursed existence. And meanwhile, Frankenstein is like not even sure that actually happened, or if he just like hallucinated the whole thing. But he's like, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure it did happen because like one of my coats is missing. And then like he kind of decides that, you know, he was
in the wrong for doing that, and that he's gonna go like live his life. Anyways, to get his revenge, Frankenstein freaking murders his younger brother and then accuses a random innocent maid of doing it, or gets her accused of doing it. And Frankenstein knows the truth, and then Frankenstein's monster is just like, oh, he hunts Frankenstein down and is like, you have to make me a wife because I'm your Adam and you abandoned me. And it's like, dude, shut the freak. This monster. Okay, one bad thing happens to this monster. People think he's scary, which is true. It's objectively true. He's a corpse. He's a walking corpse. You are scary, my guy. And then he's just like, oh, woe is me, bound to walk the earth by myself forever. Frankenstein, make another foul creature like me so that I can have a wife. And he almost does it, and then he doesn't, and then it gets his fiance killed. And it's like, Frankenstein monster literally just murders people, and people are like, oh yeah, he's a victim. He's a victim in all of this. Brother, he's murdering people. He's going around killing people because his creator thought he was ugly, and so does everyone else. And apparently that's justification for murder. And you're just supposed to be okay with the fact that, yeah, Frankenstein, the monster, is... It's like, I'm pretty sure the actual point of the story, if you asked Mary Shelley, the writer of Frankenstein, is about, like... Again, the story is actually about, like, not considering the consequences of your actions and doing something drastic. But, like, Frankenstein, the scientist... Like, because I've seen a lot of people being like, oh... Knowledge is knowing... This is the stupid millennial Tumblr quote. You ready? Knowledge is knowing that Frankenstein wasn't the monster. Wisdom is knowing that he was the monster. And it's like, no, he wasn't, dude. He got, like, so involved in this, like, scientific pursuit that he went past the moral boundary. And does that make him bad? Yeah, probably. You shouldn't do stuff like that. Does it make you a monster? I wouldn't say so. And then what? The monster goes on a rampage and starts killing people, and then he takes moral responsibility for that? It doesn't sound like a monster to me. How many people would take responsibility for one of their creations going crazy? You know what I mean? There's no ties that it's back to him. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason for him to be like, to feel morally obligated to actually do that. But if you read through the story, that's like part of it, is that he comes to terms with the fact that he did something wrong and that now he has to be the one to go out and fix it. And does he actually go out and fix it? Well, yeah. Go read the book. Freaking, what am I? Spark Notes? I'm not Spark Notes for you. Go read the book. Anyways, yeah, it's kind of stupid to imply that Frankenstein's monster is a victim in any way, shape, or form in that story. Like I said, he's literally a walking corpse, so he's ugly. But the fact that people just keep running away from him, and like, I think someone like tries to kind of attack him at one point to draw him away from, like, because I think he's a monster, and it's like, but he looks like a monster, so like, yeah, of course. And you could argue that there's more social commentary on how treating people like a monster will lead them to be a monster, but then like, just because people are like, oh, you're ugly, stay away from us, doesn't mean you have to start murdering innocent random children. You know what I mean? Like that. I think the monster. I mean, that's the thing too, right? Is that they show that the monster is actually like hyper intelligent because he taught himself how to speak. When Frankenstein created him, he did not know how to speak, and he ran off into the woods by himself, and he learned how to speak by listening to people talking. And he was inherently attempting to be good, but that goodness was arguably not real. Because if you're good just because you expect people to be nice to you in response, you're not being good, you're just pretending. And pretending to be good is better than murdering people, but like, still. Anyways, it's a whole thing. The story is like, yeah. Anyways, it's just something where I'm like, I just can't believe people in the modern day would actually. Because I recently, like actually recently, just saw like the same meme where it was like, oh, boomers think that Frankenstein is a story about whatever. Millennials are like, oh yeah, Frankenstein's monster, or Frankenstein's actually a monster, and the monster didn't do anything wrong. He's a victim of circumstance. I didn't see if they had like a Zoomer Gen Z distinction for that. I don't remember. But I was like, I can't believe people. Like, have these people actually read the story? Like in reality, have they actually sat down and read the book? They probably have it on their bookshelf because they bought it at Barnes and Noble or whatever to make it look like they're a classic literature connoisseur. But did they actually read? Did they actually read the story? Did they sit down and read the book? Because saying Frankenstein's monster is a victim in the story when the worst thing that happened to him was people said that he was ugly and ran away from him. There's people in real life who are deformed enough that people would probably think that they look like a monster. That doesn't give them the right to go and murder people. Anyways, that's the type of literative expertise you can expect from the millennial generation, I suppose. Oh well. Frankenstein didn't ask to be created. Frankenstein's monster didn't ask to be created, therefore he's a victim. Okay, but he wanted a second monster to be created. So he thinks that his creation is cursed, but he doesn't care. He doesn't want to be lonely, so he'd rather another monster be created than just deal with the consequences. Yeah, it's he's not a victim, bro. Dr. Frankenstein is more of a victim than freaking the monster is. Because you know his story, from his perspective, what happened? He made a scientific breakthrough bringing life to an otherwise inanimate corpse. Literally played God. But then realized in his haze what he had done. Collapses. He wakes up, the thing is gone. Okay, was that real? Yes, my coat's missing. That must have been real. You know what? I got too absorbed in the science. I made a mistake. I should never have done that. I'm going to try to reconnect with my family and the people who care about me. I'm going to try to live a better life. That's literally his course of action. He gets back in contact with his family. He starts heading home. All of a sudden, his little brother gets strangled to death. What? His little brother got strangled? Guess who did it? The monster. Frankenstein's freaking monster strangled his little brother to death. What a victim. This poor monster. 3 people told it was scary and ran away from it, and now he gets to murder people without consequence because woe is me, the monster. So stupid, dude. I don't get freaking. That's what I'm saying. They must not have actually read the story. They must just like vaguely understand. Because it's not like there's like an accurate story depiction of Frankenstein's monster either. Like every time there's a Frankenstein's monster in anything, it's never like actually well done, because like the actual Frankenstein's monster is like well spoken and has like philosophical conversations, but is also so selfish that he'd rather other people suffer because he's not actually good. He's just pretending. Anyways, yeah, it's just, I don't know, whatever. Maybe I'm just heartless, you know? Maybe I'm in the wrong for not being able to empathize with the actual monster who murders children. But you know, whatever. I'll probably end stream. We're about 2 hours. So I'll probably go to the end screen and then we'll call it for today. Tomorrow maybe we'll do a little bit of Fortnite. Since it's been a while since I've played the normal battle royale, and then maybe we'll try to do some game making of our own. We'll see how long I feel like I can stream for tomorrow. I streamed way early today. I really do want to try editing some videos and clips. I think it will be good. And I might try redoing, I might do that this week too. I might try redoing the stream where I'm doing VR. I'll have to test my VR stuff before then.
But we can try that again, and then, like I said, maybe continue Oblivion. So if tomorrow's Wednesday and we do a little bit of game dev and maybe some Fortnite, maybe Thursday we can try doing the firearm stuff again. We'll have to see. Like I said, I might not be streaming on one of these platforms anymore. I'll have to decide tomorrow. For sure, tomorrow's stream I'll do multi-platform still. We'll just be missing chat. And I might do a farewell to that platform if I decide I'm going to get rid of it from my normal streaming rotation. But yeah, we'll see. And then maybe I'll add a different platform. We'll have to see. And then what else? Yeah, Thursday we might try doing going over the firearm stuff again. I don't know if I have my notes up anymore. I might have to redo them, which is lucky that I kept the paper versions. But I can have better notes too. And then Friday we might just do Oblivion again. Try to keep going on that. But Friday's also 4th, so maybe we'll do something else to celebrate the 4th of July. We will see. All right. Anyone here? Thanks for showing up. Hopefully this will be the start of a decent sprint of continuing to stream, but I guess we'll see what the future holds for us.